What do you do if your children are boulders? Do you just get rid of them?
You just suffer knowing they're going to college eventually.
I'm like, oh, man, snickerdoodles again? What? Come on. Hi, Meg.
Good afternoon, Scott.
It's officially 2025.
Yes. I'm going to force my brain to think that way.
How exciting is that? Happy New Year.
Thank you. And I feel as if I need to go write a check now and write the wrong year on it and then realize, oh crap.
Yeah, like when I used to do handwritten notes for work, I would always write the wrong date for like at least 2 or 3 weeks, but it's not really a problem anymore.
Back in like primary, secondary school where you would handwrite all your assignments and, you come back in January and get the date wrong.
Yeah.
Every time.
Mm-hmm. Jump AI makes it very easy for me not to do that anymore. It just takes care of it for me. Well, no, excited to talk about today and the year ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the thing that I think about at the beginning of the year is everyone always has a New Year's resolution or two.
Always.
And I feel like they get broken really fast.
Yeah.
And I was kind of feeling like maybe we could talk about ways people could plan their year ahead, some financial, some just general ideas on how to think of any topic to really help them build some habits into their lives and really put actions into place that will help them improve upon their life rather than just saying like, I'm going to do X starting.
It is the time of year to set big goals. And that is therefore what I will do because it's January.
Yeah. And it's like, well, who are you as experts to talk about this? Well, just so happens, we have these conversations with clients all the time. Yeah. We just don't frame it around, let's start on January 1st.
Yeah.
Right. Like we have conversations with clients all the time where we're looking very big picture at what does an amazing life look like to you? Mm-hmm. And then we're looking at what can you do to take that next step to build that life.
Yeah. And so while we're recording this episode to go out in early January to take advantage of sort of the New Year's resolution energy at the beginning of the year, I think we're both very clear on, look, you should, if you figure out something that's really important to you, just start now, whether it's January or June or December 14th. But, we got to obey some of the rules of online marketing, clickbaity, something.
The maxim of life too. Everyone has to have a resolution at the beginning of the year. I mean, as like cliche as it is, it's a fresh calendar. It's a chance for people to take a look at like, what did I accomplish last year? And what do I want to accomplish this year? And I think the key is like, let's not waste it.
Yeah. And I think from a very tactical financial perspective, like the tax year just started.
Yeah.
So there are in fact some very concrete reasons why you would want to make some decisions and start, implementing them in January.
Absolutely.
So you had said that this is the kind of work, the kind of conversations we have with our clients all the time throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And I think really before we start getting into like all the fancy implementation ideas, I wanted to just really emphasize that the most important thing to do first, and without doing this, you will simply fail.
Yeah.
Is to figure out what's actually really important to you.
So true.
Right? Because if you're just setting I'm going to go to the gym goal because that's what one does at the beginning of the year, or I'm going to save more money because I'm an adult and that's what adults do, like, that's not going to work.
Right. I'm really going to get my finances in order. I'm going to get healthy. It's like those could mean so many different things to so many different people, to your point.
Yeah. So, I don't know how much you want to get into sort of techniques or how we help our clients figure out what is truly intrinsically important to them. As we often say, like those 3 most essential elements in their ideal life. But that is the first step. And a lot of things kind of fall into place easily after you identify what's really important to me. So that's
you're fully nailing it. And to that, I would add, like, you listen to the episodes that we've done to this point on the show over the years. So many of them are tactical or they're strategies, and tactics and strategies are lovely. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know your destination, they're worthless.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to go on a trip and I don't know where I'm going, I don't know if I'm taking a plane, a train, or an automobile.
Yeah.
The best Thanksgiving movie ever. Thanksgiving just recently happened, right? But by knowing where you're going, you can figure out what's the best way to get there. And the same thing happens in life. Like you have to know, what am I really aiming for? If it's for health, am I aiming for being overall strong? Do I want to have a really high VO2 max because that's supposed to help with longevity? Do
Super
I want to have a really
trendy nowadays.
grip?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like all the Atia, all those podcast Huberman guys, right? Like, like those, that's all their stuff. Like, what are you focusing on before you go figure out what tactics are you going to use to get there?
Yeah. What are you focusing on and why?
That's the more important, to your point. Why am I doing this in the first place? Because we were talking before the show started that like, if you have an external or an extrinsic motivator, like I kind of think of it as like you get should on in life. Like you think you should be doing something. So you're going to go try to do it. The chances of you really following through are rather small.
Yeah. Because
other people are driving you to do it, whether it's your family or your coworkers or your spouse or someone else. But if you have an internal motivator, like I really want to do this because it will help me live my life in this way, and this is the way I want to live, you are so much more likely to follow through.
Okay. Do you think we can just assume then that people have figured that out for the purposes of this conversation?
Yeah, like what they want to do.
Yeah, sure. We'll just say, all right, we're going to assume that you've figured out, done that first and by an order of magnitude, most important step. All right. Then it comes time to like, okay, I figured out what I want to do and why, but now how? How do I actually implement?
Yeah.
And the implementation is where things fall apart by Valentine's Day in your local gym.
Yes, inevitably. Well, by like the second or third week, it's pretty dead in there. But after Valentine's Day, it's dead.
Yeah. 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 And so we had been talking about, the human brain, human behavior. It works the same way. There's sort of a single way in which it works and how our instincts work and our behaviors work. But there are many different lenses to look at that through, many different frameworks to help us understand it. And I have found, I've heard 5 different ways of describing how to control human behavior, and one of them works really well for me. So I thought we'd share several in this episode in the hopes that one of them or a part of one of them will really resonate well with people who are listening. So for me, the framework that has always just, maybe it's because I imprinted on it first, is from the book Switch. I think it's called like Changing Behavior Change When Change is Hard or something. And it talks about the elephant, the rider, and the path. The elephant is your emotional brain. They're the ones who want to eat Doritos. The rider is your logical brain on top of the elephant, saying, no, don't eat Doritos, eat this kale. And the path is the path that the elephant should be going. The rider wants to go that way. But it's full of boulders. And so how do you clear that path of boulders? Well, you don't bring Doritos into the house. You do bring kale into the house. Maybe you like prep the kale on Sundays so it's easy to just eat throughout the week. That's the framework that really worked for me in terms of understanding how to best manage your life to maximize the chances you're going to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do if your children are boulders? Do you just get rid of them?
You just suffer knowing they're going to college eventually.
Like, oh man, snickerdoodles again? What? Come on.
Yeah. No, I will say the food is a hard one when there are children in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but to your point, that's Dan and Chip Heath, I think, wrote that book, Switch. And then a book was written by James Clear called Atomic Habits, which has some similar ideas in it. Atomic habits really being that if you make these little tiny changes in your life and you make them habits, it will lead to very large changes in your life.
Is that why it's called Atomic Habits? I've never read it, so I was always sort of mildly interested by the title. Okay.
But so like Atomic Habits has a lot of similar ideas in it. One of which is if you don't want to be doing something in your life, try to remove those things or make it harder. So like maybe you don't get rid of a television in your house, but you put the remote control in a desk drawer and take the batteries out of the television. remote, right? So that now you have to do like 2 things to really be going to turn it on. So now you really have to be like thinking about the fact that you really want to watch TV when you're trying not to. Yeah. So it kind of helps you break a loop that you otherwise is a really easy loop for you to have.
Oh yeah. So you're conscious of it. And also you're putting
it's to bring the subconscious conscious. Exactly.
Yeah. And you're putting a boulder in the path to sort of bring
to your point, you're adding a boulder there. Or the other side is like, if you want to get up and go run in the morning, have your clothes and everything ready to go. So you can just drop out of bed and go run in the morning.
Okay. This, by the way, is a large reason why I don't like Amazon, because Amazon removes all the boulders between you and mindless spending.
Yes. Well, to your point. So there's actually a really lovely book written by Michael Easter called Scarcity Brain that speaks to this exact issue in society at large, whether that's doom scrolling on social media or buying things that you don't need to buy, all of those things. It's kind of like a lot of tech companies have figured out that scarcity loops and people buying things and doing things that are easy for them and removing the boulder makes it very easy for people to increase spend. So there's definitely things that you can do about that. Like, for instance, there's actually a great app that I use for social media called Clear that I pay for. And what Clear does is I set a limit on social media for myself.
Okay.
So like I can't go in more than twice a day for a max of 10 minutes at a time. It kicks me out. So I can't tell you how many times I've been kicked out of Instagram. It's so easy to scroll on that sucker.
Yeah.
Right. You want to do it forever. But the point is that there are ways to add boulders if you want to have them or remove them. Another idea is from James Clear's book, is this thing called habit stacking. Habit stacking is the idea that if you're already doing something and you want to add something new in your life, like maybe it's something simple, like every morning, like
use your dental floss example. I think that one's a great one.
Well, that's his from the book. But
okay.
One that I'll give that's a different one is a friend of mine decided he was going to do 30 push-ups every morning. So he wakes up out of bed, does his normal morning routine of using the bathroom. He comes out, he does 30 push-ups. Well, I mean, like he did literally, I actually have to think about, I can't do the number in my head fast enough. 10,950 push-ups in a year, right? Like that's just 30 push-ups a day. It literally takes like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Made him a much fitter person, right? He's not like doing this huge, like, I'm going to go to the gym 5 hours a week. He's just like, I'm going to do 30 push-ups a day.
Yeah.
Make it really, you don't have to make it hard. Make it simple. That's another thing, is make it simple. There's so much stuff there, but I think that if you know what things are that you want to do, and I think we could come up with like a thing or two for people to challenge people with for finance, maybe just off the cuff in a minute.
Yes.
But the framework that I love to use with clients when they know they want to do something and it really matters to them. Like they'll say like, oh, I really want to be spending more time with my kids during the week or something like that. And it's like, knowing that you want to be more present with your children during the week. What can you do?
Mm-hmm.
And think about what you can actually do. What are the things in your week that you can actually do? Whether that's, I'm going to put my phone down on this specific place when I come home and not check it until it's bedtime for the kids, because I know if I do that, I won't mindlessly be looking at my screen. Right. Yep. And by the way, like that's a problem in pretty much every household. Right. Totally. I'm definitely privy to that. There's no doubt about it. It's so easy to get sucked into your phone. Like, how are you going to do it? Okay, I'm going to go put it down on this little pet. I know right where I put it when I walk home. I'm going to put it right there. I'm not going to touch it until 7:30 at night. That's when I can check it again.
Okay, so that's the what. That's the tactic.
That's the basically. What, and that's the how. When are you going to do it? So what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Then ask, when are you going to do it? When are you going to start specifically?
Tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to start tonight, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to start a week from now or whenever it is. Mm-hmm. And then the final one that's the most important for actually following through is who is going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And who gets to hold you accountable should not be your spouse.
Yeah.
Because like if I want to run a marathon this year and I'm like, hey, babe, Amanda, can you make sure I'm up in the morning and running every day? Just be my accountability partner on this.
Yeah.
You know, she'll wake up at 7:30 and roll over and like nudge me to wake me up and be like, how was that run? And like, I'm going to get upset with her in that moment.
Yeah.
But I'm really upset with me.
Yeah.
And she's too close to me to be my accountability partner.
Yeah. Good friends are, in my experience, the best accountability partner.
So I actually think that I love that as an idea, but a friend of mine and a mentor of mine, Louis Volbrick, gave me a little, is it acronym? You're the wordsmith.
Well, I don't know. What are you about to say?
Well, the word's P, and it stands for professional, enforcer, or professional, enforcer, or partner, enforcer, or expert.
Partner, enforcer. Okay. Yeah, that's an acronym. Yeah.
Thank you. See, I kind of know. I didn't go to I went to a public school.
I know. It's all because of my college education. Yeah.
But the idea is like, who's the best person to support you? Like, if you're going to go train for a marathon, do you get another person to do it with you? Yeah. And so now they're your partner in that. Or if you want to get really, really strong, but you don't know how to get strong, do you want to pay a professional trainer, an expert?
Yes, you do.
Have
in my
them
opinion.
as an accountability partner to learn how to do strength training. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then if you just need an enforcer might be a friend who might make a pact with you. That's like, hey, Meg, if you don't do this by this date, you have to do something that you would despise. What is that thing? So they can hold you accountable to it. Yeah.
And interestingly, coming back to the finances part of things, I find that expert, hey, I really want to start lifting weights. This is totally my story from last year. Really want to start lifting weights. I don't really know how to lift weights. I don't really want to have to figure it out first before I start doing it. Hey, I know. I'm going to pay a personal trainer.
Right.
I likely never would have done that in my 20s. I had much less money, both in income and in net worth. And also was just not even frugal, but sort of cheap at that point. So that's been part of my financial evolution as I've actually built my financial strength, and also along with it, my sort of relationship to money has changed. That's been one of the most beautiful things for me is, I'm willing to pay for expertise to actually get things done faster and better than I would have done them myself.
Fully agree. And I think that's where, to me, especially when the thing that you want to do in your life. So one of the things that we think about, we've talked about maybe on the show a little bit before, is this idea of, if you think of the things that you want to have, do, and be in your life, and you kind of think of it as like a 3x3 grid. So it's have, do, and be. So I want to have maybe a home that's secure for my family, and I want to, things that I want to do. So I want to surf and be a dad and all that fun stuff. And I'd be a dad. But then, like, is that like in my heart's core of who I am? Is that a should, like an ought to, or is that like it'd be fun to do?
Yeah.
Oftentimes the things that we want to move on in life, that we're struggling to move on in life, are sitting in our should column.
Yeah. I should do this if I'm a responsible adult or a good daughter.
I don't really know how, and how do I do it? That's the perfect time to get an expert.
Yeah.
And if you start to think of getting an expert as an investment rather than an expense, it totally shifts your mindset.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I like that. The sort of aligning that PEE with how you feel about the goal. The should.
Like if it's a fun to, and it's like, I'd be fun to run a marathon. Shouldn't run a marathon. It'd be fun to do it. I'm like, great partner.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I should do this. I probably need an expert, because that might take some of the doing off of my plate and make it so I can just show up and do the action.
Yeah.
But with them and have them hold me accountable. Excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's
awesome.
A good
I like
frame.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we talk about some specific things financial things that we think people should really take a look at and probably set it up to happen for the rest of the year?
Yes.
Okay. To me, the most obvious thing is your 401ks, right? Because the year just started, your contribution limit, your contributions just got reset to zero. In 2025, you can put $23,500 in to the pre-tax or Roth, and then another somewhere between 35 and 40 probably into the after-tax portion if your employer provides that. And I've had a couple clients start with me at the end of 2024 where they hadn't been on track to max out, and so we just dumped like most of their last few paychecks.
Yeah, that's common.
Which was a little painful for them. They're taking home like $14 in a paycheck now.
Yeah.
But the idea was, hey, if we just reset those contribution percentages or dollar amounts in your very first paycheck and we smear it out evenly, this is going to be so much easier for you cash flow wise.
100%.
Your take home is going to be the same every single time.
And the pro tip there, which you noted, because you said percentage or dollar amount, is to really do a percentage.
Yeah.
Because you're probably going to get a raise, and your percentage, even if it stays static, will more than likely stay in line with the raises that are happening, with the bumps. Like you're going from 23 grand to 23,500 next year.
Yeah.
So you're less likely to make a mistake versus if you set it at a static dollar amount and you forget about it for 5 or 6 years, you've been underfunding for that period of time.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen a lot of clients suffer from that, but that's certainly sort of a nice optimization.
It's just a tiny little tip that gets them, a little bit better off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with savings wholeheartedly. And the next thing I would look at there is I would just ask myself, what percentage am I saving total of my total income for a year?
Mm-hmm.
And I would just ask the question, could I save 1% more if I really wanted to?
Yep.
Now, and if the reason I'm saying that is if you're saving less than, so like the rules of thumb, and I'm saying it with some quotes on.
Big old scare quotes.
Like if you save 10% from the time you get a first job until you retire at 65, you generally are okay retirement wise. Well, if you can choose to save a little bit more in years when you have more excess cash flow, you just create more opportunities for yourself to make work optional for you sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you get to a year, like we see clients constantly go through periods of time where they've made a lot of money and then they have kids and all of a sudden they're like, where did all of my money go? Because they're paying for preschool and for a nanny and for all this stuff. And they're like, we make all of this money, but we literally have none.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just, if you have the ability to, and it's not going to hurt your life, do it.
Yeah. Yes. And I say, most people would benefit from that. I was just flashing on one of my clients I was meeting with last week, where I was like, girl, just spend more. Oh my God, you're going to end up with $18 million in current day dollars when you retire.
That's more of a rarity than the average.
Yes.
But yes, I have seen that side too, where you're like, let's slow down. You're already saving 40% of your income.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to save more.
Yes.
You're okay.
Right. And all this goes to prove how very personal this is.
Yeah.
Yes. I think just saving in general, figuring out what do you want to save for. 401ks are obviously for retirement, but maybe you have other goals. Maybe there's short-term goals. I want to go on a big trip to Europe in 2 years and it's going to cost me, $30,000 to take my whole family. Or in 5 years, I want to buy a house, so I have to build up a down payment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to figure out what you're saving for, right? And that came with that very first stage we talked about at the beginning of the podcast. What do you want? What's important to you? Mm-hmm. The trip, the house, eventually retiring. And then automate the savings.
Yes.
So figure out how much you have to save every paycheck and then set up either the 401k contribution out of your payroll or direct deposit it into your down payment bank account or an automatic bank transfer from your checking account to the savings account.
Mm-hmm.
Do all sort of the hard thinking, number crunching analysis now.
Yep.
Set up the automation and then just ride it. You don't have to think about it again. It's going to happen automatically.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of where you're going with that. The only little thing I would parse there is I love saving for consumption, like going on a trip. I just want for the listener at home to know that, like, hey, if I'm thinking about what I was saying earlier about how much are you saving every year, I'm thinking about like how much are you saving for your future or for a future asset purchase? Like you're just saying saving for a down payment.
Yeah.
That'd be a considered savings to me. If I'm saving to go on an amazing trip to Tahiti, which hopefully I am with my kids and they don't listen to this so they can know that ahead of time because it won't be out until after they already know it's happening.
Okay.
Like we're saving for that, right? But that's really saving for consumption. So, but we are still automating it to your point. So it's done and we know it's there and we'll have it. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. The one variation on that I would talk about, because most of our clients, yes, they have a salary and the same amount of money comes to them every paycheck. And then almost all of them have a single annual bonus.
Yep.
Which is a big lump sum of money in
something
late February,
like
early
30,
March.
40, 50% of their salary.
Or they've got quarterly RSUs that vest.
Mm-hmm.
none of that income can be saved automatically because you don't know how much it is.
It cannot, which is what leads me to my next thing that I think people should be doing.
Yeah.
It's something my wife and I've been doing for a while now, and I love it. And that's because I hate monitoring spending.
Yeah.
Like I will say that I don't say hate to pretty much anything in the world, but I hate doing that. Like figuring out what did we actually spend. Like I just despise going, and people love having spreadsheets and looking at them. That's not my thing for spending. I like looking at other spreadsheets, right? Yeah. But here's what we did a while ago. We just figured out what do we spend roughly on a monthly basis, right? And then what we did was we made it so that one checking account that we run all billing out of for everything in our lives, we pour that dollar amount into that account once a month.
Yep.
And it pays for everything in our life. And then we just left a watermark, like $5,000, $10,000, whatever number you want to leave in there, stays in there. And we have an alert set to tell us if it goes below that level. That's it. Why do we do that? We do that so that we don't go spend the extra RSU money and bonus money that comes into our bank account.
Okay. Yep.
Does that make sense? So like the RSU money, bank bonus money. So in our instance, that's just distributions from my business because I have a slightly different setup, but that comes into a different account where we then, because we do that on a quarterly basis, go look at where are we going to go put that money with intention.
Yeah.
We don't just go spend it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's circling back to actually how I'd been conceiving of it, which is, okay, you can't automate the savings of your RSU income or your ESPP shares sale or whatever. But what you can do is do all the thinking about what that money's for and how you're going to parse it out. You can do that thinking now, write down the rules.
100%.
Put a reminder in your calendar so you don't even have to remember to think about it.
Right.
And then when your RSUs come, and assuming your strategy is to sell them immediately, now you can just go look at that list of rules. Like, right, RSU money. Right. Okay. I'm going to put an extra 10% into estimated taxes. I'm going to save 25% of it to retirement and spend the rest on my car or whatever the rules
are. Whatever the thing is that you wanted to do.
Yeah. So just
absolutely
front loading that heavy, hard brain work as much as possible, and then just like coasting on it for the rest of the year.
And to kind of come back full circle to what we were talking about before, what happens if you don't do that? If you don't do that, then you go look at your checking account and you go, whoa, I have 85 grand right now. What can I buy? And Amazon's just staring at you. And it's so easy to click.
Yeah.
And to go do things. And you're not really doing things with intention anymore.
Yeah.
You're just doing them reactively because so-and-so did this or so-and-so did that. And it's like, is that really what you want?
Yeah.
So knowing ahead of time that like of the RSU money this year, we want to take really excellent trips with the family and we want to put certain dollar amounts away to fund college and retirement. And we want to start saving for the next house we want to buy or whatever that thing is, or it's you leaving work early. So you're going to increase savings to retirement to have work optional faster. Like do that.
Yeah.
And then just live off of the amount you know you need to live off of. And you'll get where you want to go faster. Because it's if you don't do that, what I see often is it's so easy to spend money that's sitting in an account with no destination determined.
Absolutely. So to wrap it up, step one is figure out what it is you want in your life, right? That money can help you get, right? These the big picture, ideal life sort of thing. 2, figure out the tactics that need to happen in order to fund those goals.
Yep.
3, automate as much of that as you can. And 4, if you can't automate it, at least put like calendar entries. Schedule it. But you already have the tactics written out, so you don't have to figure that out like every quarter. What am I doing with my RSUs again? Oh.
And then the final bit I would add to that is if you find that something matters to you in life and you don't see yourself taking action and moving forward, seek an expert to help you.
Girl, props to Becky the trainer who has increased my leg press by a lot in the last 6 months. I'll tell you that.
Well, here's to a great new year ahead. And thanks so much for your time, Meg.
Thank you, Scott. Bye.
Bye.